Therewal Sannai. Every day we need to talk about the same thing because we have only one issue. Therefore, if we talk about that issue, then we have to talk about that every day. And we have only one answer. That's the Dhamma. We have to talk about the same doctrine. But when we talk about the same doctrine, we will find ways to apply it. There are many ways we can apply. Therefore, we talk about the same thing and we will apply it differently. That's what you need to learn. Every day we talk about anicca, dukkha, anatta. Because that is the answer. When you understand that, you will become Sotapanna, which means you will become Sri Mentor. When you practice it, you will become an Arahant. You will be enlightened. When you complete your practicing. This is how it is. Therefore, every day, we will talk about that. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. And first of all, you should realize that that is the answer. That is the remedy. And that is the cure of all illnesses. All problems, mental issues, mental problems, mental diseases, all the addictions, all sort of addictions. I don't have to name them, you know. If you want to cure them, actually, before that, you should realize that you are addicted. When I say that, no, I'm not. No, you are. You are addicted to food. That means taste. You are addicted to pictures, colors, movies. You are addicted. That's why you need these eyes. Can you live without eyes? Can you only use these eyes just to see? No. You always want to watch. But eyes are there not to watch, to see. You always misuse eyes. I know you don't believe that. Because everything changes. Everything has changed. Therefore, now people's normal range is very abnormal now. If you go to 500 years back, then you realize that those days, there was a normal range. That normal range is not this normal range. It's completely different. It depends on the society, depends on people's thoughts. Therefore, now people think that eyes are there to watch. Therefore, people try to watch. And very rarely people see. Therefore, you are addicted. You can't live without your phone. You are addicted to music. You can't live without that. You are addicted to taste, food. You are addicted to smells. You can't live without perfumes. You always use them. Perhaps you can't tolerate your smell. Then perhaps you think that perhaps by doing that you do a social service because you think that if you can't tolerate that, how can others? However, and touch. You always want to touch. You are addicted. And mainly, you always want to think. If I ask you to stop thinking, then you can't live. You always want to think. Then if I ask you to meditate, I'm pretty sure you will think. You won't meditate. Then perhaps you think that meditation is thinking. You are addicted to that. And you want to talk in your mind. Your mind is so talkative. Think about that. Then you will realize it. When I ask you to think about that, oh yes, I will think. Because your mind is addicted to think. Then if I ask you to observe, then you will think. When I ask you to understand, you will think. You will think means actually you want to talk. Silently. When you are angry, you want to talk silently. You talk. You can't stop yourself. These are addictions, ladies and gentlemen. But when you are a drug addict, then you will find solutions for this and cures. Because you know that it will destroy your body and social conditions, status. You know that it will kill you. But what about your food addiction? It will kill you too. It will reduce your life expectancy. You will die 10 years before, 10 years earlier. But you can't control. These are also issues. If they are issues, then we have a cure. Not a cure actually. We have the cure. We have the cure. There is only one cure, ladies and gentlemen. If you practice that, you won't have these issues anymore. And apart from that, you are suffering from other mental conditions, jealousy, inferiority complex especially. And you can't tolerate this world, you can't tolerate your society, your family perhaps. You are suffering from them. Inferiority complex. That's the most dangerous disease I ever have seen. Inferiority complex. You always feel inferior to others and you try to be superior. You use your life to make yourself superior. It's really difficult for you to delete from your mind because you always feel that. You always feel inferior. Therefore, when you come to the society, then you always expect that. When you expect it, and you suffer. Because expectation leads to suffering. But you always expect. You can't avoid it, you can't stop it. You expect respect. Yeah? Can I talk to you without any respect? You don't like it. You want respect. You always expect it. And don't forget that expectation leads to suffering. Therefore, you always suffer, ladies and gentlemen. When you think that you are a being, when you think that you are a human being or you have a title or someone, then you always suffer because you have that expectation. You always expect someone to respect you. When you come to the society with that expectation, you always try to behave like that. Go and observe the society, then you will see. The society you live, can you live like nobody? You live, you help, but you don't expect anything. You live like nobody. Anyone can tell anything if you know. Anyone can use any name. Perhaps, hey dog, did you talk to me? Did you call me? Can you ask that? Oh, you don't like that word. If someone call you a dog, then how do you tolerate it? I'm not going to use the other word, female version of that. It is so, I can't use it. It is indecent. Why it is indecent? It's a name. Because you don't like it. You don't expect that. When you receive something that you don't expect, it hurts. Therefore you try to change. You try to tell other people, please don't use it. Especially to me, because I'm not that. Then who are you? If you are not that, then who are you? The queen? Do you like that word then? Let me tell you then, queen. Perhaps then you will be very happy. The king, the queen, perhaps you will be very happy. But you need to understand that, ladies and gentlemen. You always try to be someone. But you are nobody. You need to accept it. In order to accept it, you need to understand that you are nobody. No one is there, but you think that you are someone. That's why you expect love. You always expect love. Then when you don't get that, you are so upset. When you lose your loved one, you are so upset because you lost love. You expect love. Why? Why do you need that? Okay, let me tell you, I love you. Okay, then what did you get? Check your stomach. Did you get some food? I just said I love you. Or I can give you some flowers. Okay, then what did you get from that? Did it cure your wounds? Did it cure your illnesses? Did it quench your hunger or thirst? No, nothing happened, but you always expect love, caring. Why? Because of that you always suffer, ladies and gentlemen. That's why, actually I want you to realize these things. I want you to understand these issues. These are the issues mostly you suffer. That's why you can't, sometimes when I ask you to come here and practice, sometimes you can't come because of some addictions. And perhaps you think that I don't get love when I come here. Oh, I will lose myself when you come here. When you come here, perhaps you think that you will lose yourself. Of course. But the thing is, we don't ask you to come here to lose yourself. We ask you to come here to realize that you already lost yourself, which means you don't have yourself. There is no such thing called self. If you can realize that, you won't suffer anymore. And you will come to your society like a hero because you don't have any expectation. You are ready to accept everything. If you don't have any expectation, whatever comes, you will accept that. Most of the time you can't accept the society, you can't accept nature. When something happens, that's nature, ladies and gentlemen. But at the same time, something happens in your mind. When something happens in your mind, then the mind needs that. The mind wants that. Therefore, you can't accept nature. That's why you suffer. That's why you feel that this life is so miserable. That's why you are here. If you think that your life is blissful, then you never come here and you will ask us to come to you. But you come here to practice. Because you feel that you can enjoy your life more than what you have enjoyed. Therefore, try to point out these things from your life. Actually, your life is blissful. It's a bliss. But you should realize that first. We need to identify those issues. If you are suffering from inferiority complex, you should identify that. When you identify it, then you know your problem. Otherwise, you think that you are suffering because of the society. Therefore, you always blame them. You try to change them. You try to change your spouse. Therefore, you fight. When you want to settle something, you always fight. That means when you want to settle some muddy water, then you try to shake it. Will it happen? If you want to settle that down, then you have to keep it. But you always try to shake it because you want to settle it. When you have problems, especially when you have family problems, relationship problems, you always try to solve them. When you want to solve them, you always try to change the other person. Some people come to us and they talk about their problems. Then finally they ask us to help their spouse. So they never realize that they have the issue. That's how it is. You always think that the problem is in the society. The mind doesn't want to change because the mind thinks that, because mind is so ignorant, ladies and gentlemen. The mind is so ignorant. Well-educated, ignorant mind. Well-educated. Education doesn't mean you know about nature, you know the reality, you know the truth. Education means something you took from someone. That's called education. You took from someone. You went to the university, whatever the university you went, then you took from someone. You learned from someone. That's called education. Therefore, if you know about engineering, you don't know anything about medicine perhaps. When you took something, you know about that. But nature is different. Nature is reality. It's straight away applied into your life. If you are ignorant about that, then definitely you will suffer. No matter what you have learned. That's why we had to focus on that. Therefore, if you can identify these things, if you can identify all your issues and problems, and this is the cure. This is the cure. And this happens due to ignorance and attachment. Somehow we need to eradicate attachment by eradicating ignorance. This is the path. I can't help you to eradicate your attachment. You will practice and eradicate it. You need to practice. But I can help you to be enlightened, which means I can help you to eradicate your ignorance. That means if you are ignorant about yourself, if you are ignorant about nature, I can help you to eradicate that part. By understanding the Dhamma, you will eradicate it. After that, you will put it into practice. When you put it into practice, then you can eradicate, which means actually eradicate means you will stop the process of attachment. Because attachment is a process. Attachment manifests. It's a manifestation. Attachment manifests due to ignorance. Therefore, if you can eradicate ignorance by applying the truth, by understanding the truth, realizing the truth, then you can cease the process of attachment. This is how we should do. Therefore, then I can't do that because I can't practice on behalf of you. I can give this wisdom, which means some knowledge actually, then you will convert into wisdom by practicing. Then you will cease the process of attachment. When you cease the process of attachment, the false sense of existence won't be felt anymore. That means you will be nobody. You will be nobody. That means all the senses will work, but the person behind it, the person behind all the senses, that means the person who feels all these senses or sensations, won't be there anymore. Then you will see beauty, you will smell, you will listen to all kind of music without a wanting. Therefore, then actually you will be able to listen to frog music as well. But right now, that's a noise. But in the future, you will enjoy it. If you can eradicate the person behind that. Because it's a false sense of existence. I can guarantee that. It's a false sense of existence. I'm not telling you to forget yourself. We are not practicing that. Forgetting self. Or keep thinking that I'm not here, I'm nobody, I'm nobody, I'm nobody. You can't do that. Because when you say I'm nobody, then you talk about yourself. And you put, or you wear an overcoat on the mind and say that I was a king, but I am nobody now. That's not the way. Here we are talking about the truth, which means you feel this, that's okay. You feel this, you feel yourself. You name yourself. You want others to respect yourself. You want to maintain yourself. You know that you are a woman, yeah? You know that you are a woman. And you know that you are a man. And perhaps you think that you are, or not think actually, you know. You know for sure. You are an accountant. You are a teacher. You know these things for sure, ladies and gentlemen. Because you have been practicing this. Perhaps not only this life, from this life, perhaps from infinite long journey of samsara. Until you achieve this, you won't be happy. Until you realize that seeing exists, but no one is there to see. Actually, you can understand this because it is the truth. We don't have to create anything. We just need to apply this into your life experiences. That's the only thing you need to do. Then when you apply these things in your life experiences, then if it is not matched, then leave it and find another teacher. That's what I did. Whatever I tell you, I always apply that into my life. And for sure, I know that it is true. Because if it worked for me, then it should for you as well. Therefore, let's talk about that. And please learn these things, study and understand these things just to cure your wounds, your main wound. And when you have cancer and you find a doctor who can cure that, you should be very happy. Then when you listen to this, because I can guarantee that I can give you medicine. I can't say that I can cure you. I can say that I can give you medicine that works. Take it, use it, and cure. You are the only person who can cure yourself. The Buddha said, Tumme kiccang atappang akkataro tathagata. Teachers are there to help you, to guide you to your path. But you have to practice. You yourself must try. This is so hard because you have to work against your practices. You have been practicing wrong things for a long time. Therefore, when we learn this, perhaps you can't digest this. Because perhaps you think that this is some kind of nonsense. But apply it. Then you will realize. Let's talk about nature. When we talk about every day, we talk about nature because the Buddha's philosophy is nature. He explains nature. But when it comes to nature, don't think that it is waterfalls and rivers and trees. Everything. Your hair, you, the false sense of existence. That also has a natural way. And we need to understand that. Therefore, when we apply Dhamma, which means the doctrine of the Buddha, first of all, you should realize that everything you have come across so far is an effect, or another word we can use is an incident. As I told you, perhaps you think that, oh, that is mad, because I know you like to name this as an object, but I like to name it as an incident, because this is an incident. Perhaps you won't believe it. As I told you, you won't believe it. Okay, if you don't believe it, apply science into this then. Then you will realize that. You can't see. You always see pictures. You can't see the process. Have you seen a laminar flow? When water flows, perhaps you have seen a laminar flow, then you experience that the flow is stopped, like freeze. But water flows. But you can't see. Because you always see pictures. Because eye takes pictures. One mind is made. Eye takes pictures means when eye takes light, one mind is made. After that, another mind is made. After that, another mind is made. Before you understand this, you should realize that mind is not continuous. The mind is not continuous. It is discrete and it is quantified. You can quantify the mind. A mind number 2, the mind number 3, mind number 4. Mind is not continuous. Nothing is continuous in this world. That's the first lesson. If you learn chemistry, it must be the first lesson. Matter is not continuous, it is discrete. If it is not discrete, we can't talk about atoms. We can't talk about molecules and compounds. We talk about that, and we have proved that. Scientists have proven it, and we know it. This is discrete. Your body is discrete. Your skin is discrete. All the cells are discrete. And the mind is discrete. Everything is discrete. Nature is discrete. Apart from that, everything is a process. This is a process. This is a process. Water is a process. When causes come together, an effect manifests. That's how you can observe or you can experience water. We all know that water is H2O. Let me write water. Is this water now? No. So far it's not water. This is oxygen and these two are hydrogen atoms. This is not water. Then when we apply these two forces, these are the bonds between oxygen and hydrogen atoms. When we apply these two bonds, now a water molecule manifests. And this is energy. Energy is active. Energy is called work done. Energy is not dead. Energy is active. This energy is active. Therefore, when we apply these two forces, this water molecule becomes a process. It is not fixed. It's a process. Now it manifests. If we remove these two, you can't experience water anymore. Therefore, if you want to experience water, it should be a process. This is only one molecule. Let me draw another one. Now in this case, these two have another bond. This bond is called hydrogen bond, if you can remember. That means that's also some energy. Energy, 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 energy. Then if you talk about hydrogen, it has one electron and one proton. And they have energy. That means an electron itself is some energy. It is very active, ladies and gentlemen. It is condensed energy. Therefore, this is energy, and this is energy. This is also energy. This is energy, this is energy, this is energy. Therefore, water is energy. Energy is active, ladies and gentlemen, and it is not dead. If something is dead, you can't say that has energy. Therefore, I haven't seen anything dead when I understood the Dhamma. Even a dead body. Do you really think that a dead body is dead? If you take a dead body, it has water in it. Perhaps when it is rotten, then pus comes out. Like perhaps 90% of pus is water. Water is alive. Because water is a process. I'm not talking about a river, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not talking about a flow. I'm talking about a water molecule, or I'm talking about water. Water is a process. If something is a process, actually we can tell that it's an incident. It happens due to causes. It manifests due to causes. Due to these causes, water molecule manifest. Then if causes are not there, it doesn't manifest. That's the truth. Try to use your knowledge of science. You have learned modern science and apply it. Then you will realize And this is plastic. It's a process. Without these bonds, the plastic can't exist. Plastic means carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen mostly. You need these. These shapes are wrong. I just showed you. We need these bonds. And carbon has its internal bond. It has electrons, protons, neutrons. And between them, there is some energy. An electron itself is energy. Proton itself is energy. A neutron itself, energy. These are energy. And in between them, energy. That means it is active. Therefore, this plastic, wherever you see plastic, you should be able to see an incident or a process. Wherever you see plastic, apply the doctrine into that. Then you will realize it. Then if you want to explain plastic, there is only one method you can explain. There is only one method, one theory. That is the theory of cause and effect. When causes are there, that manifests. When causes are not there, it doesn't manifest. If I take these bonds, it doesn't manifest. When I put that back, then water appears. If I have a bag full of these atoms, oxygen, hydrogen, all these atoms, and if I have a magic wand, and I do that, by doing that I apply some energy, then I will have some water. But before that, what did I have? I had these things, but when I apply those forces, then water appears, water manifests. This is how the world manifests. If this is a manifestation, or if this is a process, at least if you can understand that this is a process, tell me, can you make a process in the past? That means, can you do something in the past? If something is active, can it be in the past? Just think about it. If something is active, can it be in the past? You are active. Yeah? You are not dead. Okay. Do something in the past. Do something in the future then. If something is active, that action can't be in the past or in the future. If you don't have the past and the future, we can't talk about the present. The only thing we can talk about is when causes are there and effect manifests. This is how it is. When you raise your hand, when causes are there and effect manifests. These are the actions you can make. There are 3 actions you can make. You can make, there are 3 actions in the world. There are 3 actions. First, kaya sankara, which means the mind is created to move the body. Second one is vachi sankara. Another type of mind is created to create words. Words means create notations, because this is a musical instrument, like a flute. It needs notations. Notations are created by vachi sankara. That is called vachi sankara. These are Pali terms, vachi sankara. That's also an action. Even cows, buffaloes, dogs, they also create these things. Their bow is what? That sound is created in your mind. That vibration comes from its flute, which is its mouth. It's a flute. An airflow comes from your diaphragm, and then your tongue is like your fingers when you play a flute. It keeps somewhere. Then airflow comes, then a sound, not sound actually, and a vibration is created. That vibration goes to your ears, and it goes to your mind. It goes to your brain. After that, you hear a sound. That's how you can hear my music. I am a musician, and I play my notations. I create my notations first. Notations. Look, notations. No. No. In order to make that vibration, I can't say that's not a sound, it's a vibration. This flute creates only vibration. Not only this flute, but also every flute. Every flute, every musical instrument, and this musical instrument as well, that creates only vibration. Before that vibration is created, the mind has to create a notation for that. That is created by the mind. That mind is, the process of that mind is called Vachi Sankara. These are facts, ladies and gentlemen. These are facts. Every time because when you come to a sermon, I have to give you some facts. But when you take these facts, and I want you to apply it, because each and every point you take, that can be applied into your life. Because I'm not talking about aliens. I'm talking only about you. How you feel, how you perceive things. Therefore, you should be able to apply this. We need to apply anicca. Now, in this case, when I say that this is a flute, then you should apply it and see. If you can't understand this, then you can go to Google or something, and you can find answers for this, and you can see what is inside your skull. Then you will realize these things. Then you can see this vibration is a process. If I have a sore throat, that vibration is different. When that vibration is different, you will hear a different voice. Then perhaps you think that, oh, Guru Thero's voice is different today. It's like you knew my voice. Do you know my voice? If you know my voice, that's not my voice. Because I don't have any voice. Not I actually, this flute doesn't have any voice. If I can't say I don't have any voice, I have to say I don't have any I, which means any self. This is a process, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we try to understand this by these things. If the vibration that comes from our throat is a process, then you can apply the doctrine, which is the theory of cause and effect, into that. Look, when you take one fact, apply anicca into that. When causes come together, an effect manifest. That doctrine. Always try to see that effect. Always try to see that process. And when you try to see that process, and when you realize that then you will realize time doesn't exist. But when I say that time doesn't exist, you never believe that. At the same time, perhaps you will look at watch. Look at the watch and you will see that time exists. Look. When you see these numbers, then you think that it's time. And when it's from 57 to 58, then you realize that, look, time passes. Because you feel time. You feel time and you try to count that time by using the clock. You feel time, but when you get enlightened, you won't feel time anymore. Still you will see the watch. You will see the clock, but you won't feel time anymore. When you realize that this is a process, if this is a process, you can't create any fixed person if something is a process. If something is a process, as I said, there are 3 actions. We talk about 2 actions. One is the mind is created to move your body. The second thing is the mind is created to make notations, which means make vibrations to create sounds. The third one is called Chitta Sankar or Mano Sankar. The mind is created to see, that means perceive something. There are six types of perceptions. To perceive something, we need Mano Sankar. These are the 3 things, these are the 3 actions that can happen. Therefore tell me, can you think in the past? Can you see in the past? Can you talk in the past? Can you move in the past? Then why do you talk about it? You always talk about your past. You always think about your past. And perhaps you try to change your past. You are afraid of your past. You are suffering. You regret. And after that, you think about your future. Definitely you will be afraid of your future. What will happen to me? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my business? What will happen to my this and that? But I want you to understand that. Understand means I want you to realize this. Take these facts and apply it. Understand this. If this is an action, how can it happen in the past? How can it happen in the future? How can you go home in the future? But right now you can think. You can think and you can visualize. You can visualize that you will go home. When you go home, someone will be there and perhaps a thief and all these things. You visualize these things. When? When do you visualize them? Right now. That means that Mano Sankara occurs right now. That is not happening in the future. It happens right now. Right now means it happens when causes are there, because it's a process. The mind is a process. That mind occurs. That process occurs right now. To find the solution to this problem, we don't have to talk about self, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have to say that self doesn't exist or self exists or anything. We just need to talk about the truth. We don't have to talk about the lie we always take with us. We don't have to talk about that. When you realize that everything is a process, then you will practice that. You will apply it, because it is everything. If everything is a process, you should be able to apply it to everything. That's why I told you, apply it to this. This is a piece of metal. Apply it to this. Apply it to your hair, your body, your skin, your chair. Whatever you take, all the materials you deal with, apply. After that, come to the mind as well. Why it is not visible and tangible. And modern science can't help. But modern science can help you to realize this. Therefore, apply these things. Apply the Dhamma into these things first. When you realize that everything is very active, everything is a process, it is very active. These are actions. These are alive. Whatever the word you use, that's fine. If something is alive, can it live in the past? Can you live in the past? Can you live in the future? No. There is a bond here. Can this bond exist in the past? Can you find some past water, please? Past water. Perhaps yesterday you had some water and you left half of them. Can you find it now? Yesterday you kept something here, and today when you see that, you can remember that I kept it here, that's why it is here. This is the object that I kept. Is that true? Is that the object that you kept? Ask from him. Ask from it. You can remember. You can remember means the mind has a memory, ladies and gentlemen. The mind has a memory, therefore the mind uses the memory. The mind uses the memory, and with the memory the mind is created again. With the memory the mind is created. Think about your yesterday. That means you took something from your memory, some data. You take that data from your memory, and the process of the mind occurs again. Therefore, right now, you experience or you perceive that data. Therefore, you can remember I, which is the false sense of existence. I kept that because that came to your memory. When something comes to your memory, you always believe that that's your past. If I put one of my data into your memory, then perhaps you will realize that I did this sermon yesterday. No, you were listening. That's how you always believe in your past. Because right now the false sense of existence manifests. When it manifests with some past actions, then you always believe that that happened to me. Because past actions means it is in your memory. Your memory means the mind has a memory. The mind always works with that memory. Otherwise, without a memory, we can't identify anything. Therefore, it is necessary. We need a memory. We means in order to identify, in order to perceive something, we need a memory. Therefore, when you see this, blue color is created in your mind, but you don't know the name of this. Then you have to take it from your memory. This is called blue. But it has different names. But the color is the same. Even a dog can see this. This manifests. Blue color manifests in the mind, but the mind has to take the name from the memory. Therefore, without a memory, you can't identify anything. You can identify actually the basic thing. This is a color. This blue color. I'm not talking about the word blue. The blue color. The blue color can be identified without the memory. But in order to name it, you need a memory. Therefore, without a memory, no one can live. That means the mind can't exist without a memory. But the problem is, when you have a memory, whatever comes to the memory, you always think that happened to you. But the mind is created right now. If the mind is created right now, how do you say that something happened to it yesterday? A baby is born right now. What happened to him yesterday? If everything is an action, that action occurs right now, ladies and gentlemen. If everything is a process, that process occurs right now. If everything is an incident, use any name, incident, process, effects, actions, that happens right now. If this happens right now, how do you talk about its past? And how do you have a past? Then why do you worry about your past? Why do you regret? Because you can't stop that. It comes to the mind. It comes to the mind because that data is there. That data comes to your mind, and the mind is created. Then you feel that happened to you. That's why I told you, if one of my data comes to your one, you can't separate them, you can't identify them. Whatever data comes to the mind is created with it. Then it perceives. It perceives, and you feel that happened to you. Again, take these facts. These are facts. Take these facts and try to identify anicca in there. This is what you need to do. Otherwise, this will be a nice story. Then I will become a storyteller, not a Guru Thero. You can make me a Guru Thero. I can't make myself a Guru Thero. Take these facts and try to see anicca in there. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. These three things. These are the truth. And try to see these things in there. Always you think about your past. Because you think that's your past. Can you think about my past, please? Can you think about my past? Why do you always think about your past? You are addicted to your past. Why? My past is so beautiful. Why you can't? You can't because your memory doesn't support. But whatever comes to the mind as a data, it perceives. Because the mind doesn't have any controller. It doesn't have any controller. It's a process. Rain, it's a process. Rain is a process. Who is controlling it? Who is controlling it? Rain? No one is there to control. No one is there to control the mind. It occurs. It manifests. That's why when you are angry, you can't stop. But if you exist, why don't you stop that? You always think that this is my mind and this is my body. Then you talk about your kids and you try to control them. You always control them. Your kids, because they are your kids. You control them. If this is your body and this is your mind, then control them. When you have a cancer, control them. Then why can't you control them if it is yours? Then you try to control your kids. You try to control all the universe. And you know that you can't control. And when you have a disease, then you go to a doctor. And the doctor gives you some remedy. Then you take that medicine and you take it. Then actually it cures. Because the doctor knows that it's a process. The doctor cures the process. The doctor knows that in order to keep it healthy, it needs A, B, and C. When these three things are together, that body is healthy. But now B is not there. Therefore, when you go to the doctor, then doctor checks you and finally he prescribes some medicine that includes B. The doctor asks your name, I know, but I don't think the doctor prescribes medicines to your name, because it's a process. And it has a missing part. With the medicine, you will get that missing part. This is how it is. Therefore, when you are ill, if you can understand about your illness, you will attain Nibbana. Therefore, you don't have to wait until you recover. Because it's a process. Whatever you talk about, it's a process. Your voice is a process. Your mind is a process. Your thoughts are processes. Everything. Try to see that. When you see that, then you don't have to say, this is only a false sense of existence, because you will realize it. When you don't have a cancer, do you have to tell that I don't have a cancer? Likewise. All the facts we talk here includes anicca, dukkha, anatta. Try to realize that. Then when you realize that is anatta, then you realize that this is only a false sense of existence. Because you always feel that, you always feel yourself. You always, whatever you do, then you think that, when you raise your hand, you think that I raised it. You always feel I. That means actions occur and the mind feels that it's so special. It's separated, it's unique. That's the feeling of self. The process of the mind is this. This is called Rupa in Pali. There are 5 steps, that's it. There are 5 steps. This Rupa, this must be created first. Therefore, when it comes to the mind means the thoughts and the mind. A thought should be created first. From your memory, you can't take a thought. You only take a data. You only take a data, and you take that data and you put it here. Then it becomes a thought. But when the process of the mind occurs, there is another process. That is called the process of defilement. Due to ignorance and attachment, the ego is created. The ego, the false sense of existence. These 2 processes occur at the same time. This is how, when you perceive something, this is the perception, and when you perceive something, you perceive the ego as well. That's why you always feel you do things. But the problem is, this is not a self. And this is also not a self. You can see that this is a process. This itself is a process. This Rupa is a process. It has 5 steps, 5 causes. The Buddha said there are 5 causes. When those 5 causes come together, Rupa is created. But you don't have to remember these things. You just need to remember that this is a process. Rupa itself is a process. That means a thought is created, that is a process. When a thought is created, that thought is notified. That thought is identified. Then finally, the thought is perceived. This is the total process. Therefore, if you take only Rupa, this Rupa is the same. This is also Rupa. Form. But when I say form, this not this kind of form. Mental form, if you can understand that. This color is not in the pen. This color is created in your mind. If this color is created in your mind, this is where it is created. Rupa is created. There are 5 causes. Avidya, Tanha, Karma, Ahara, Nibbati, Nakana. These are Pali terms. Don't think about that. There are 5. There are 5. These 5 terms. Then, because of these 5 causes, this effect manifests. When these 5 causes are there, these effects manifest. Therefore, this is a manifestation. This is an action. This is an incident. This incident occurs when they are there. When 2 cars touch each other, is called an accident. Then in order to produce an accident, what do you need? 1 car? No, you need 2 cars. When 2 cars are there, an accident can be occurred. Likewise, these 5 causes are there. This manifests. Therefore, that manifestation is a process or an action. Try to understand that. If it is an action, can it happen in the past? I'm going to prove you that time doesn't apply. Time is not applicable to your life or to the world. It's an illusion. It is conceptual. But you feel it, you perceive it due to ignorance and attachment and due to the ego. The ego perceives it. The ego lives it. lives in it, in the past, the present, and the future. But this doesn't happen. Actually, the ego doesn't happen. Let's talk about the ego then. How the ego is created. When ignorance and attachment are there, the ego is created. These are the causes, main causes. There are many other causes as well. When these two causes are there, this manifests. This is an action. Then how can the ego be created in the past? It creates right now. How can this be created in the future? It creates right now. When causes are there, this manifests. If something is a manifestation, you should realize that it is an action, it's an incident. If it is an incident that exists when causes are there, therefore we can't talk about time, we can talk about that incident. When causes are there, the effect manifests. The Buddha said a word, pachuppanna. That's the moment. Pachuppanna. Don't worry. Perhaps you can't pronounce it as well. We don't have to. We just need to remember. Not remember actually. We just need to understand. If you can understand, but you don't know the words, that's fine. You can attain Nibbana, but you can't help others to attain Nibbana. We need words in order to help others. But before you help others, you need to help yourself. You need to cure your wound and become a doctor first. Then you can help others. Therefore, don't think about these words. Try to understand the truth. Because the word doesn't have any truth. Now here you can see, then the ego manifests right now. That means the ego manifests when causes are there. When causes are there, an effect manifests. The effect, this is an effect, this is a manifestation, and this is a process. Look at these words. This is an action. Therefore, the ego can't be created in the past or the present or the future. It is created when causes are there. Then let's talk about your hair. When did you get this hair? From your birth? Perhaps yesterday? You got this hair yesterday? When did you get that? Actually, when did you get that? Or perhaps you can say it has been there. Has it been there? From your birth? And you cut it, or perhaps you didn't cut it from your birth. Perhaps it is there from the beginning. No, ladies and gentlemen, it manifests right now. It manifests right now. It is a manifestation. There are some causes. We name it hair, but it is not hair, it is a protein. It's a protein. That protein manifests right now. It has carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and some other mainly. And when it comes to that, electrons, protons, neutrons. It's enough for us. It manifests right now. It is energy. You can burn it. When you burn it, you will see light energy and you will feel heat energy. Light energy and heat energy is released. That means, where did it come from? When you burn your hair, light energy is released, heat energy is released. Where did it come from? It was there. Therefore, your hair is energy, nothing but then you will realize that it's a process. It's energy. The energy is active. If it is energy, that should be active. That is very active. If it is active, then that can't happen in the past. Therefore, how can you say that this hair you got yesterday? Does it make sense to you, ladies and gentlemen? Or this is like some kind of a fairy tale? I know this is different. This is different because we used to think that everything is continuous. Before science, before chemistry comes to the world, we thought that everything is continuous. That's why those scientists had to prove that everything is continuous. Everything is not continuous, everything is discrete. When they found atoms, and they wanted to check the atom is not continuous, it has some other components as well. That's why they did those experiments. And finally, they proved it. Perhaps you feel that this is abnormal, but actually this is normal. What you have been thinking is abnormal. Your hair manifests right now. If you had hair yesterday, go and check and bring it to us. But you always feel that you had that hair yesterday as well and today as well. No, it manifests right now. Right now means when? When? When causes are there. Your hair is black. When causes are there. Then you will have a grey hair. When causes are there. Then one cause is missing. When one cause is not there, then perhaps black color doesn't manifest. In order to manifest the black color you have in your hair, it's also a process. It needs some causes. When those causes are there, that dye, it's a dye. That dye manifests. It's a chemical. Look, I can talk about the entire world. But same principle is applied. Anicca. When causes are there, an effect is created. And effects manifest. Then when you have all the things with you, why can't you apply this? You have hair, you have nose, you have eyes, you have everything. If you want more, then you can check others as well. If you want even more, then you can check from animals as well. But you will find the same thing. Everything manifests right now. Therefore, the past doesn't exist. The past doesn't exist. Then you don't have to worry about that. But you worry. Because you can't understand this part. When something comes from the memory, and a thought is created, at the same time, the ego is created. Therefore, the ego thinks that happened to the ego. Whatever happened yesterday, that happens due to causes. To whom? To whom? A person can't be applied. Because we don't have any process to create a fixed thing. When we talk about a person, a creature, a being, we have to fix it. But we don't have any process. If everything is a process, how can we make a fixed object, a fixed person? But you always try to make yourself fixed and talk about your past and the future. It happens due to the ego. But the ego itself is a process. It happens, it occurs right now. It occurs right now. Are you with me? It occurs right now. It's okay. You can think that you listen to this. That's fine. But you listen to this, but you can't say that you have been listening to this. If you want, you can say that you listen to this. And this means I listen to this. That I is created right now. I is created. That means I manifest. This self manifests right now. It's not a self. It's a false sense of self. A false sense of self. It's a sense, only a sensation. That sensation is created due to ignorance and attachment. It's also a manifestation. That's why I told you, if you think about yourself or if you feel about yourself, that also occurs right now. Right now means not in the present. If you want, you can use that word, but it is very dangerous because when you talk about the present, then you will create a person who lives in the present. Some people practice this. Some people practice to keep their mind in the present. That's good, that's fine, it's okay, but that's not Nibbana. In that case, you will keep yourself in the present. That means self exists, but in the present. It doesn't work, but you can feel some. The Buddha said, everything is akalika. Akalika means time is not applicable. We can use timelessness, but with that meaning. Everything is akalika. Try to prove that to yourself. Everything is akalika. This is akalika. The ego itself is akalika. Remember that the word and the meaning, please. Akalika means the time, or time doesn't apply, time is not applicable, that one. Then I'll use akalika. Then the ego is akalika, because the ego is a process. If something is a process, it should be akalika. If it is a process, it occurs when causes are there. When causes are there, it's an action. If it is an action, that can't happen in the past or the future. If the past and the future doesn't exist, then how can we create a present in between that? Again, this is a fact. I want you to apply this. The ego. Now with these things you need to live. You don't have to go to Himalayas. You just need to live. When you go to Himalayas, if that is the only place that where the ego is created, the ego manifests, please go there. Or perhaps don't go there. Then you don't feel it anymore. Wherever you feel, wherever the ego manifests, you can practice the path. But you need noble friends with you to guide you, to help you, to push you forward. Because the ego is very powerful. The ego is very powerful. It controls the mind. It wants to think about the past, because when it thinks about the past, it energizes. It energizes itself. That's why when you think about your history means like Sri Lankan history, European history, then you feel some pride. We have been doing these things. Oh, I have been doing these things. The ego likes it. Therefore, automatically, it goes to the past. And it goes to the future, to create a bright future. You always dream about that, to create a bright future. To whom? To whom? That's why when you think about your future, it's called dreaming. It's called dreaming. Yes, it's dreaming. It's dreaming because it's not the reality. When you think about your future, actually it's your visualizations. You always visualize those things. You take things from your memory and shuffle it, and you create some kind of stories. That's called your future. That also happens right now because it's a process. This is a process. It happens right now, means when causes are there, it happens. Therefore, it's an action. It's an incident that happens when causes are there, not in the past or the present or the future. Therefore, whatever the sensation you get, please apply the Dhamma. And prove that it is akalika. When you practice akalika, but I don't want you to chant, everything is akalika, everything is akalika, everything is akalika. These are useless things according to my point of view. I can't reject these things because I'm not the Buddha to reject these things. But according to my point of view, these are useless. For me, these are useless. You need to understand this. You need to realize this. Realization is the main thing. As I told you, I can't make you realize these things. I can give you some facts, which is true. I can give you the truth. But you have to fix this truth into your mind by practicing. Then I want you to become the truth finally. That's how it is. Right now you listen to the truth. When you practice, you will become the truth. When you become the truth, you will become nature, because nature is the truth. When you check nature, you always find actions. You won't find trees, because trees are not trees. Trees are not objects. Trees are actions. It is full of energy. Burn it, you will realize it. It is full of energy. It is full of energy. If something is full of energy, that is active and that is alive. If a tree is an action, if a tree is an action, can a tree exist in the past? Then how old that tree, somewhere you have seen, the tree you have seen, how old is it? Can you give the age? It is mad. It exists right now. It exists right now, it manifests right now. The tree you have seen is a manifestation. I'm not saying that it's a mental manifestation. It's a manifestation. The colors are mental manifestation. But the tree that exists there, it exists right now because of those causes, because of energy. It is full of energy and it is active. Observe a tree, then you will be enlightened. Then how old your body is. It manifests right now. Then why do you think that you are old now? It manifests right now. If you want, you can burn yourself, then you will realize. Energy is released. That means it is full of energy. If it is full of energy, it is active. It is active, that means whatever happens, it's an action. Some actions occur. These actions are called the body. Therefore, the body exists when causes are there, not in the past, not in the present, not in the future. If you want, you can check. Use modern science and check. When you understand the Dhamma, you just need to apply it. You apply it every day, then every day, in every moment, you try to apply this. This is how you practice the path. When you walk, try to walk in the past. Try to walk in the future. Try to walk in the present. Without causes, try to walk in the present. Can you do that? No. Then when causes come together, now the effect manifests. Therefore, this walking is a process. It happens when causes are there. Now you can see everything happens according to the theory of cause and effect. That is the theory of cause and effect. When someone argues with you, you will hear sound. Yesterday, can someone argue with you? No. It happens right now. It happens. Those sounds manifest right now. And if you feel that, if it hurts, that means the false sense of existence manifests. That also manifests right now. Right now means when causes are there. Therefore, when ignorance and attachment are there, what happens? The ego manifests. When the ego manifests, it hurts. Because the ego thinks that he argued with you, or he blamed you, he insulted you. Then when you have that feeling, then you should realize that the ego is created, the ego manifests. When? Right now. Try to apply this whenever you can. Whenever possible. When I say whenever possible, you should be able to apply this every time. You can. Because you live in nature. Nature exists everywhere. You don't have to argue with others. When someone blames you, then you just need to apply the Dhamma into that. But I know it is so hard. It's so hard because the ego is created and then it connects all three times. And anger is created. The anger manifests. It's also manifestation. But don't tell someone when someone is angry, this is a manifestation. Go. Don't say that. Then a huge wound will be manifested on your head. But in your mind, you need to apply the Dhamma. You need to see that. You need to observe it. Just observe, ladies and gentlemen. Don't talk in your mind. Just observe it. When you observe something, you are so calm. You are so serene. The mind, not you. The mind is so serene when you observe. But when you think, which means when you talk in your mind, you are restless. If you want, go to a camera and start thinking about something. Then you will realize that you do these things, and eventually you will do that, unbeknown to you. Because you are restless, because you are talking. But when you observe something, you are so calm. Therefore, try to observe. Take this part and observe. Like wear the pair of a spectacle and observe. But this pair of spectacles is used to see the truth. You can wear this to your mind, not your eyes. Put on this and observe. There are 3 types of actions, as I said. Observe these actions. We were talking about mano sankara. There are 6 types of mano sankara. 6 types. Sight, which means we need colors to be identified and perceived. Then sounds, taste, touch, and smell, and thoughts. That is mano sankara. When mano sankara occurs, the mind perceives those 6 things. When vachi sankara occurs, it creates notations to create sounds, to create vibrations. When kaya sankara occurs, it creates a message and sends it to the brain. Then the brain controls the body. These are the 3 actions that occurs. Therefore, the Buddha said, Shuddha Sankara Punjoya. This is not a being. This is only a bulk of Sankara. Sankara means actions. Those actions, there are 3 actions. Those actions, a bulk of actions. Therefore, if you talk about your entire lifetime, we can say that. That's only a bulk of actions. Think about your parents. If they passed away, think about them. What happened? How do you define their life? Shuddha Sankara Punjoyam. It's only actions, a bulk of actions. Actions that occurs when causes are there. Therefore the Buddha said, Sabbe Sankara Anicchati. Every Sankara is a process. Every action is a process. Every action is a manifestation. Every action is akalika. Same words. Apply these things. When you apply these things, you will realize the truth. Keep applying until you become an arhat. Now you can observe a tree and get enlightened. If you want, you can observe your cat, your dog, your pet. You can be enlightened. Observe. Observe with this wisdom. When you see your dog, you should be able to see a process. When you see your child, you should be able to see a process. I know it's so hard. When you see your child, you observe a mother. But when you see your child, you should be able to observe it. Observe that, I have to say it, because it's not a being. It's a process. Shuddha Sankara Punjoya. It's a process. When you're able to see that, you won't suffer anymore. But when you see a being, you always, when you see a being, by the time you perceive a being, when you see a being, you perceive a being. That means the false sense of existence manifests. Then that process becomes a child, and this process becomes a mother. Then the mother associates with the child with tears. If you see a process in your pet, if something happens to it, you won't suffer. You will cure it, you will protect it, because it's a process. You can protect a process, you can maintain a process, but you won't suffer. That's why the tsunami came, but nature didn't cry. Many people died, but nature is calm. Nature doesn't think about its past, because it doesn't have a past. Nature manifests right now. Therefore, nature doesn't have any regret, even though it killed so many people in history. Because every time that was an incident. One incident manifests, that is over. Then another incident, another incident, another incident, another incident. Every time we talk about something, that's an incident. That's a newly born incident. Therefore, no one is there to regret. When A occurs, it's an incident. Then when B occurs, it's also an incident. But in between these two, if you create a being who has been there, This incident A is the past of C. This is what happened with the false sense of existence. This is what happens with the ego. When the ego is there, this incident A occurred to me, incident B is occurring to me, incident C will occur to me. When the ego thinks about this, it experiences regret and suffering. When it experiences this, when it thinks about this, the future, it experiences fear. Finally, I want you to understand this as well. Think about these things, ladies and gentlemen. How can you enjoy your life when you regret and experience fear? Even though you are the richest person in the world, how can you be happy if you regret and be afraid? When you see a beautiful flower, this is your experience. You experience this flower this much. You experience the past, regret and suffering this much. And you experience fear. What will happen to you? What will happen to this flower? What will happen? Will. This much. This is your life. That's why you always try to change everything. You always change everything because you think that you can't be happy. Therefore you try to make yourself happy. Therefore you earn money, then you can change. You get a good education. You get another PhD. You go to universities. You do whatever you want. But nothing changes. Nothing changes. The problem is the ego. Due to the ego, you experience the past and the future. When you experience the past, you always regret. And you always experience suffering. If something good happened to you in the past, it's a past. That means that doesn't happen right now. You lost it already. That's why it is called the past. It is a past. Therefore, you don't experience it. Therefore, you always regret. Oh, that happened to me right now. I'm there at that time, but I don't have it right now. If he were with me. When you love someone, then you always talk about that. He was very nice, he was very good, she was very good. If something bad happened to you, you always regret, that happened to me. Then how can you enjoy this? Tell me how much money we add to this, to change this. $10, 100, 1,000. How much? How much money do you want to change this situation? How many degrees do you want? How many wives, husbands, children, pieces of land, perhaps countries. If you want, I can give you a country if you can change this. Can you do that? No. Then I'm sorry to say, what you have been doing is useless. I know when I say that, this comes and say, how dare you say that? I know that. What you have been doing is useless, and if you try to do the same thing over and over again, it's called madness. Therefore, please understand, there's only one way. Therefore, the Buddha said, Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo sattanang visuddhya. If you want to purify your mind, if you want to experience the kingdom of heaven, if you want to experience a serene mind, there is only one way. Anicca dukkha anatta. That's only one way. The truth. Until that, you will realize these. You will realize. You will see this. Actually, you will see this. You will observe this, or perceive this with these two. Therefore, you will try to protect. When you see something, you will try to protect. That's why I told you. Normally, you always think and you always talk in your mind. When you see something beautiful, you always talk in your mind, and sometimes you try to protect that, because you will feel a fear of losing it. Therefore, actually, you can't love your children. You can't see the beauty of your child, because you always fear. Therefore, no matter what I give you, you don't know how to see it. You don't know how to experience it. Therefore, don't try to waste money. Just imagine this. If you can't see the beauty of this, how can you see the beauty of this? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. Because the same mind, it is the same mind. If it is the same mind, if you know how to see the beauty of this, then how can you see the beauty of this? And if you don't know how to see the beauty of this, how can you see the beauty of your face? There is an art. Beauty lies in the mind of the beholder. Not the beholder actually, the mind. It is in the mind. Then if you can purify that, which means if you can eradicate ignorance and attachment, and if you can come to akalika, the state of akalika, then you will only realize this. You will only perceive this. Once you become an arahant, this is how you observe this, observe or perceive this. Because the mind becomes akalika. This part is not there, this part is not there. The mind is full of this perception. Then you will feel perfectness. Right now, you try to be perfect. You try to see something perfectly, but you can't, because you live in those 3 times with regret, suffering, and fear. Therefore, don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. No matter you get, you don't know how to perceive it. First of all, practice the path, become an arahant, then spend your money. Then you have to buy only one thing. That's enough for you, because if you see the beauty perfectly, you won't need another object to see. The mind will be satisfied with what it has. Right now, the ego can't be satisfied with what it has. The ego always wants many things. While you are eating something, you always look at what next. Think about that. Give something to your kid. Give a bag of toffees. Then while he is having one, he will check what else. That's how the mind is. Not the mind actually. The mind is defiled due to ignorance and attachment. Therefore, your main responsibility is to rescue your mind. That is the main responsibility. Otherwise, you never experience this life, and actually you will lose this life. By saying that, I'm not saying that you will die. But you will lose your life. At least you will lose the life. You will only experience hell. Therefore, let's practice. Then whatever you see, please apply. When it is raining, please apply. You should understand that it's an action, it's a process. And it happens right now. You can't make a rain yesterday, you can't make a rain in the future, tomorrow, you can't. It happens right now. When causes are there, it occurs. Whatever happens, when you see a tree, when you see an animal, when you see yourself, which means your shadow, whatever, and when you see something or someone, apply the Dhamma and realize that it is akalika. When it is akalika, practice, keep doing that, then you will realize what you have to realize. I'll see you next week. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all.